The drama between the Black Manosphere and Six the Goddess has not ended. If you don't know, over a month ago, the Black Manosphere came for Six the Goddess, and it seemed to have died down. But even after MTR, a bunch of other people had stuff to say, Six responded, specifically and most notably to MTR. She did this about a week and a half ago. O'Shea had something to say about it. And now Nathan Daly has reignited his coming for Six the Goddess, and he even has some stuff to say about O'Shea. But before we get into that, we're going to get to the truth of why the Black Manosphere had beef with Six the Goddess in the first place. Nathan Daly, Chaotic Truth, Bernard Riley, Obsidian, and even MTR have come out to criticize and or condemn Six the Goddess. Now, much of the criticism centers primarily around one incident, but I want to separate MTR from the rest of this group for a moment. This other group has had some very critical things to say about Six that are not just about this incident in question. They've talked about her past, they've called her a hoe. In fact, Nathan Daly had a thumbnail that says from hoe, H-O-E, to hotep, H-O-E-T-E-P. Let me just say something, because I'm going to get into a theme of being creative and comedy, and I gotta say, from a comedic standpoint, that was a slick one. From ho to hotep. That was pretty slick. I gotta give him credit for that one, just from a purely comedic perspective. But concerning Sister Goddess, there's outrage, there's condemnation, there's disappointment, there's pearl clutching. Well, I've never. All kinds of stuff. But it's centering around some things that Six had to say about Nathan Daly. Now, Nathan Daly, if you don't know who he is a content creator. He is not Manosphere. He has explicitly said, I'm not Red Pill, I'm not in the Manosphere. No, he's an ex-law enforcement officer who centers his content around, I guess, community events, current events from the perspective of a former law enforcement officer. Six did a stream. She was in the midst of a stream, and she started talking about some of her past beefs, including one of her beefs with him. And she was like, no, yeah, we had some words on stream, and I was not going to be getting into an argument with him. I was not going to be getting into, long drawn out back and forth with him, which sounds reasonable. I can understand people not wanting to get involved in something that they would consider foolishness. And in many times it is foolishness. Let's keep it real. But about Nathan Daly, he, as a former law enforcement officer, one of the most famous things he has done was during the course of a traffic stop, the person that he had stopped tried to escape. They tried to just drive off. Nathan held onto the car and was holding on to the car while the car was driving and trying to escape. The driver tried to, smash into other vehicles to get Nathan off the car. And ultimately, the individual was apprehended, and Nathan had to go to the hospital. He was injured, but he recovered. But that story is very important because it centers around what Six the Goddess had to say. Because Six the Goddess says, listen, I'm not going to get into it with this man. I'm not going to go back and forth with this man. He don't let go of nothing. She said, he don't let go of nothing. Now, knowing his story, the moment I heard that joke, like I said, from a comedic perspective, you gotta give her credit. Hell of a double entendre. That was an awesome joke. It's an awesome joke. Let's keep it real. She then proceeds to show the footage. So for those that may not be aware of, the context of her joke, the he won't let go of nothing. She said, this whole man, she shows him jumping on, he's basically has his arms inside the window. The other cop gets in the car and follows. And so that's why we actually see the video, because the other cop gets into the police car and is following. So we've got the dash cam of this entire event. We can see it. And we can see him holding on very tightly as the car, the guy's trying to get him off the car, bashing into other vehicles. And, eventually he does fall off of the car. But the point of the joke being, and it's a really good joke, but it was a serious incident, right? You know, he could have died. Side note, he didn't die. Side note, he recovered. Side note, it's been years. So there's an entire segment of jokes where there's the refrain, where there's the response, too soon? Because these are jokes about sensitive topics, about serious topics, and the entire comedic perspective is, you know, what should I? Is the wound still too raw? But there's still the topic of conversation. I have a dark sense of humor, and I can appreciate a lot of dark jokes. Now, I'm not saying that there's no lines, and quite frankly, a lot of people will have different lines. But I think this particular joke concerning several things wasn't even close to the line of a bunch of other jokes, a bunch of other types of comedy. If you take the likes of Jimmy Carr, Anthony Jeselnik, let's take a look at Pete Davidson. Pete Davidson does 9/11 jokes. And as bad as that is, you're going to say, what? He does 9/11 jokes? Yeah, a bunch of people do 9/11 jokes. It's been, 22 years? Besides that, not only does Pete Davidson do 9/11 jokes, Pete Davidson does 9/11 jokes, and his father died in 9/11. Do you get that? His father was a firefighter who died on 9/11, and he does 9/11 jokes about his father. Like, you got to realize that comedy can get really raw. And so the reactions around this have me like, are y'all for real? Are y'all for real? I mean, seriously. Number one, Nathan was in his hospital bed joking about, oh, I accept donations in sweets. You know, any donations you can send in the form of sweets. Listen, he survived. He's good now. Now listen, I will add that he did this stream where he's discussing her joking about that, and he's got this. He's looking, you know those telethon, those telethon commercials feeding starving kids in Africa, like, and then they show the picture. Like that's okay. Let me get this water off my face. That's what he did on stream. I'm like, stop it, just stop it. But nonetheless, a bunch of dudes pearl clutching, and like I'm saying, like some people are like, oh, you're supposed to be advocating for men. This is one man. Like advocating on behalf of men doesn't mean she can't have a problem with one man. Like one man. Like what? This is ridiculous. This is really stupid, and it doesn't make any sense. She didn't say all men. She didn't even say all cops. She was making fun of Nathan Daly. That's what she was making fun of. Nathan Daly had no problem going in on her for quite some time. You can look back on his channel and see like he's, and hey, you see that from Ho to Hotep. Like I said, from comedy perspective, you got to give credit for the turn of phrase. You know what I'm saying? Cool. But the outrage, so like, it's funny because a bunch of these dudes will say, oh, you know, you pro-blacks, y'all are too sensitive about race, y'all are in your feelings, y'all are snowflakes. And I'm like, but y'all are like, we're talking about making untrue anti-black statements as if they were factual. That's what we're talking about. You're talking about her making fun, doing a turn of phrase, the double entendre of he don't let nothing go. That's a hell of a joke. Let's keep it real. But is this selective outrage? It's not selective outrage because it's not outrage at all. These men are not outraged. They're not upset about this. They're not in their feelings about this. They're trying to use this as a smokescreen. They're trying to use this as an opportunity. They're trying to use this to deflect attention away from Pearl. That's what this is about. That's all this is about. Motherfuckers, we see through you. We see through you. You're not, nobody's fooled. Nobody's fooled. Nobody's buying it. We see what y'all are doing. This is a smokescreen. Y'all are, I've never. Like seriously, nobody buys that y'all are offended or outraged by this joke. Nobody buys it. Nobody buys it. This is all in defense of this white supremacist woman who y'all think will somehow like show favor upon you. Are you serious? Are y'all serious? Meanwhile, they're not talking about the numerous flaming flags that are being presented by this white woman who, whether or not they even want to acknowledge she's a racist, let's say they want to pretend she's not a racist. They want to be Stevie Wonder when it comes to race now all of a sudden. Cool. She's a fucking grifter. And it's obvious as fuck. It's obvious as fuck this woman's a fucking grifter. She's a modern woman, boss bitch, who complains about modern women and boss bitches. Are you, like, how blind can you be? This makes no sense. There's a number of things that you could be criticizing this woman for. Instead, you'll choose to basically work on her behalf, in her defense, and she's not out there defending y'all against nothing, but y'all are running around caping for this woman for no good reason. Like, I'm still waiting to, because y'all make excuses. Oh, we were attacked. They said we built her. Then why are you, then shut the fuck up. Stop talking about. Like, listen, if you're trying to show that you have no connection to her, then not being part of her, the Pearl Defense Force would probably be a good idea. That would probably, maybe give people the ability to say, well, they're not defending her. They're not doing nothing with her. What are you talking about? But that's not what's happening. All of this is about defending her. And like I said, I'm keeping MTR separate. Why? Because MTR specifically endorsed 6 the Goddess. So I'm going to put him in a slightly different category. I don't think he's as outraged about this. And I think, for instance, he said she's evil. That's fucking stupid. That's fucking retarded. That's absolutely evil for a joke? For a joke about a man who's been talking shit about her for, I think it's been over a year. I think it's been at least a year. And it might even be longer than that. Like, but he's been going in on her. Like, he's been going in. These are two adults going back and forth with each other, but you're calling her evil because she's laughing at a joke, which was a hell of a joke. He don't let go of nothing. Stop it. What I think MTR is doing is he's bowing to pressure, whether it's from his audience or from his peers. I think he's feeling some pressure, and that's why I'm going to be coming forward, because I'm tired of this bullshit that's being played. This bullshit game being played as if they're trying to, you've got this Pearl Defense Force trying to shame everybody else into silence. Trying to act like she ain't doing nothing wrong. Yeah, she said, the number one, the stuff she said was not factual. It was complete and utter bullshit. She doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. And she's a racist. And she's a grifter. And she's a liar. Like, just every way you, and like, remember I talked about the boss bitch, modern woman. Also, there's the Me Too situation. Oh, Me Too is evil, but she Me Too'd her old ex-coach. Like, this woman, this bitch is the devil. What the fuck is wrong with these fools? So, like, this is what I'm saying. These clowns are making all kinds of excuses, are going to all these amazing lengths to try to shift the spotlight from this chick, and like, they're trying to find excuses to go after somebody else. Listen, there are legitimate criticisms of 6. Like when her and Chaotic are going back at it, and Chaotic throws a temper tantrum on stream, and she's like, she doesn't feel safe. Stop it. This man is, you're safe in your house. He's safe. He's who knows where, in some all dark room. I don't know what dungeon he's in, but y'all are nowhere near each other. Chaotic Truth was in more danger from himself than you were from him. He was in danger of catching a stroke or a heart attack as much of a bitch fit as he was throwing. So that was some nonsense. You can have legitimate criticisms. The evil because she laughed at this dude, y'all really got to stop with the bullshit. And that's the same thing she says. She tells him to stop it because it's ridiculous to call 6 evil, especially when you consider that after all of this, after him condemning 6, after him going through this performance, some other stuff happened, because all of this started with just Pearly Things. Well, correction. All of this was reignited because of the just Pearly Things situation. MTR had cut ties with her professionally. He kept it respectful. He didn't call her out her name. He stuck to the issues that he disagreed with and said that this is why he was not going to be working with her in the future. He also spoke about how they had come to a mutual agreement not to air the content that they had already filmed together. Here's what happened. Pearly Things, one, after her so-called apology, which wasn't actually an apology, she actually completely rescinded that and said, oh yeah, I didn't mean that. I was just doing that to see something. I just wanted to see if the mob would be happy, satisfied. So when those of us told you that she was full of shit, wow, it's almost like we knew what we were talking about. She spends a large portion of this woe is me, why are people attacking me, and she's focused on the black YouTubers who have criticized her. Now, mind you, there's a bunch of white YouTubers who have criticized her too. She's not talking about them, but she focuses on the black YouTubers who have criticized her, and she spends an inordinate amount of time on MTR, who kept it to this one issue, never called her racist, but that's who she seems to be extremely preoccupied with. And in a later video, in fact, I think she does a live stream where somebody makes fun of him and his past battle with cancer, because over a year ago he announced to his channel that he was diagnosed with cancer, and he said, hey, listen, I don't know how this is going to go. So he went, got treatment. It appears it was successful, and now somebody called him one nut, and she starts laughing. And what's more is, during the stream, she says that she's not going to be honoring any agreements to not air past content that was already filmed. That's what she said. She also threatened to copyright strike him. She did all of this stuff directly at MTR. He responds. Does he call her evil? Does he say that she went to the depths of hell? Does he say that she expressed such utter contempt, does he say that she expressed such utter malcontempt? Sick. Does he say that? No, he doesn't say any of that stuff. He's very calm and he takes the high road. I'm like, wow, like this. Number one, she came directly at you. Number one. Number two, she showed a pattern of just devious, duplicitous, conniving, like modern women behavior, refusal to accept accountability, even though she said she was accepting accountability, just completely went back on that. And you said that she told you she would not film she would not release the content. And now she's like, well, fuck you, I'm releasing it. And you don't got smoke for her? Not even a quarter of the smoke that you had for Six the Goddess. That's fucking disgusting. And it's actually interesting because Six called him out in her video, and she called him out for being like swayed by his audience. Like it's almost as if he's watching, oh, what do they want me to do? And I guess he has enough sellouts following him that want a cake for Pearly Things, despite the fact that she's a complete and utter fraud, scumbag that doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. She's an anti-black propagandist pushing anti-black propaganda about history, refuses to accept actual history and actual facts because it doesn't jibe with the lies that she likes to tell. They want to pretend this is about Six the Goddess. MTR just wants to please his audience, it seems. But Nathan Daly's just happy that the smoke is on Six. That's what for real. Nathan Daly's primary concern with this is like, yes, we get to get that bitch. I can't stand her. But a bunch of these other clowns are just doing this to run cover for Pearly Things. To O'Shea, because O'Shea did his video and he said that why is this beef even happening? Why are people not focusing on just Pearly Things? And that's the answer, O'Shea. It's not by accident. It's by design. Like Six being the topic of discussion wasn't just, oh, this is a byproduct. Six was specifically targeted to take the focus off of just Pearly Things. Specifically, that was their purpose. That was Obsidian's purpose. That was Chaotic Truth's purpose. Nathan Daly was all too happy to do it because he wanted to cover for Pearl, but he really wanted to get Six. That was their purpose. All these dudes that anti-name, all of this was they needed somebody to be a sacrificial lamb so that they could get the focus off of just Pearly Things. They did it on purpose. This was not an accident. This is not a matter of people falling out over this. This is a matter of people attacking because She didn't fall in line. Six and Danica didn't fall in line and start waving pom-poms for this racist bitch. They called her out, as they should have, as all of us should have. But some people decided to get jobs with this bitch in whatever capacity. Maybe some of them may be acting in a volunteer capacity, hoping that they get paid at some time down the line. But they did this intentionally. O'Shea, it wasn't by accident. There's a reason why they're not talking about Pearl things. Because they're protecting her. There's a bunch of these clowns that are protecting Pearl on purpose. And they will attack any black person they need to in order to do that. So in terms of unity, there can be no unity with people that hate their community. As always, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, like, share, subscribe if you have not subscribed already. But if you disagree with me, go ahead and give me a thumbs down and tell me in the comment section, why are you such a snowflake? I'll see you next time.